Across the silent, sun-scorched plains of southern Peru, there lies a world carved not in stone, but in earth itself. A world of lines and symbols stretching across a desert that has not changed in thousands of years. Here, in one of the driest places on our planet, a civilization long vanished left behind a message so enormous that it remained unseen until the modern age. These are the Nazca Lines, ancient, mysterious, and breathtaking in their magnitude. Tonight, we journey deep into their story, a story of ingenuity, devotion, and an enigma that continues to challenge our understanding of human history. Picture a desert so vast and empty that sound itself seems hesitant to cross it. The air is still, heavy with heat. The ground beneath your feet is a mosaic of reddish stones, baked by centuries of relentless sun. You look around and the landscape seems barren, featureless, endless. Yet hidden beneath your very feet is a world of artistry so immense that only the sky can truly reveal it. If you were standing on the Nazca Plateau 2,000 years ago, you would see workers carefully removing the dark stones from the desert surface, placing them along the edges of a long, straight trench. You might see groups of people walking in patterns, tracing shapes that to you seem abstract. But from above, had anyone been able to rise into the air, you would witness a hummingbird stretching across the earth, its beak elegant and thin, its wings open in perfect symmetry. You would see a giant monkey, its tail curling in flawless spirals, a spider, a condor, a dog, a set of hands, a tree, and hundreds upon hundreds of lines, perfectly straight, cutting across uneven terrain as if drawn with a ruler made of light. The scale is staggering. Some lines run for miles, some shapes cover thousands of square meters, and all of it was created without the ability to ever see the final result. Or so we think. When the first pilots flew over this region in the 1920s, the sight stunned them. Below, the desert unfolded like an ancient canvas, shapes that seemed almost impossibly precise, figures that looked as though they had been designed for someone or something far above the Earth. Those early flights began a century of speculation, research, and wonder. Who were the Nazca? And what message did they carve here, preserved for so long by a desert so dry that time itself struggles to pass? The Nazca civilization thrived from around 200 BC to 600 AD. Their world was one of extremes. The land around them was harsh, rainfall scarce, water precious. Yet they built an advanced society known for its intricate textiles, beautifully painted pottery, and complex agricultural systems. Underground aqueducts, known as puquillos, allowed them to harness hidden water sources. They were resourceful, they were creative, and they were deeply spiritual. But they had no written language, no historical records, no surviving myths etched into stone. Everything we know about them comes from what they left behind, and from the soul-stirring lines they carved into the desert floor. At first, researchers believed the lines might have been simple pathways, but aerial views revealed a cosmic artistry that defied simple explanations. Maria Reich, the German mathematician who devoted her life to studying the lines, believed they formed a massive astronomical calendar. She spent decades mapping their alignments, convinced that the ancient Nazca people used the lines to track solstices, stars, and the movements of celestial bodies. And indeed, some lines do align with significant solar points. But as technology advanced, astronomers found the patterns too inconsistent to support a complete astronomical theory. Then came another explanation, one rooted in ritual. Many archaeologists began to see the lines not as symbols to be looked at, but as pathways to be walked. They imagined ceremonial processions, participants moving silently along the lines, offering prayers, performing sacred dances. Some geoglyphs were placed near areas where offerings were found, broken pottery, shells carried from distant shores, signs of ritual activity. These theories suggested that the shapes were spiritual guides, their forms connected to deities, fertility, animals of power, and the natural forces the Nazca depended upon. But even these ideas failed to capture the full scope of the mystery. Some of the geoglyphs represent animals far beyond the Nazca region: the famous monkey from the Amazon rainforest, the whale from the distant ocean. How did the Nazca know these creatures? Were they inspired by stories of travelers, trade routes, or did these animals hold deep symbolic meaning in a world where the line between myth and reality was thin? Others pointed to the incredible precision of the straight lines. How did the Nazca carve perfectly straight paths for kilometers across uneven ground? They had no metal tools, no advanced measuring devices, no aerial perspective, and yet their lines barely deviate even a fraction of a degree. This led to one of the most sensational theories in modern history. Some claimed the Nazca Lines were signals, messages to beings in the sky. Perhaps, they argued, the lines were landing markers, or signs of reverence to visitors from above. The idea captured the world's imagination. Books were written, documentaries aired, theories exploded in popularity. Even today, thousands believe the lines could not have been drawn without knowledge from beyond Earth. Mainstream science rejects these ideas, but the fascination remains powerful because the mystery remains unsolved. Then, in recent years, archaeologists made discoveries that shifted the conversation. Using drones and satellite imaging, they mapped hundreds of previously unknown geoglyphs, revealing patterns too complex to notice from the ground. Soil analysis showed that many lines point directly to underground water sources, ancient aquifers deep beneath the earth. Water, the rarest treasure of the Nazca world. Suddenly, the purpose of the lines began to make more sense. Perhaps the lines were part of rituals designed to bring rain. Perhaps the figures represented gods associated with water, fertility, or protection. The hummingbird, for instance, is a symbol of life and renewal. The monkey and spider were linked to seasonal changes. The whale to the world of water and abundance. But even this theory, compelling as it is, cannot explain the full story. Some lines cross each other without breaking meaning, others lead nowhere. Some shapes overlap older ones, as if generations modified or renewed them. The Nazca did not create the lines in a single moment. They created them over centuries, evolving their symbolism, layering meaning upon meaning. It is possible that there was never just one purpose. The lines may have been calendars, pathways, prayers, art, and offerings all at once. Their meaning may have changed from generation to generation, just as cultures change their rituals over time. At night, when the desert cools, the silence becomes absolute. Stars emerge overhead, brilliant, sharp, ancient. You can imagine the Nazca people looking at those same stars, tracing patterns in the sky, then tracing patterns in the earth below. Maybe to them, the desert was a mirror of the heavens, a sacred reflection of the world above. Today, the Nazca Lines face threats the ancient world could never have imagined: urban expansion, mining, modern vehicles, climate shifts. In recent years, trucks and machinery have carved accidental scars across the plateau, damaging geoglyphs that survived untouched for millennia. UNESCO has stepped in. Scientists, archaeologists, and locals work together to preserve these fragile lines, but the challenge is immense. Still, the lines endure. They always have. What makes the Nazca Lines extraordinary is not just their size, or their mystery, or their beauty. It is the fact that they remind us of something profound. They show us that ancient civilizations were capable of genius far beyond our assumptions. They challenge the idea that humans of the past were limited. They invite us to question what we think we know about history. Think of a civilization with no writing, no machines, no aerial view, created artwork that could only be understood from the sky. They built something they themselves would never fully see, something intended for eyes far above the desert floor. Perhaps the greatest lesson of the Nazca Lines is that not every work of genius needs an audience. The creators may not have needed to see the entire picture. They understood that meaning can transcend visibility, that devotion can be expressed through monumental effort even when the results cannot be witnessed from below. They trusted that someone, someday, would rise high enough to see what they carved. And we did. We became the witnesses they may have hoped for or never expected. When the first pilot looked down and saw a hummingbird emerge from the sands, it was as if the Nazca civilization finally spoke across the gulf of time. A whisper carried by the desert wind, a message etched into the earth itself, a reminder that humanity's creativity, curiosity, and courage have no boundaries, even in the harshest of landscapes. The Nazca Lines remain one of the greatest enigmas of our world. Maybe their full meaning will never be known. Maybe that mystery is part of their purpose. Some stories are not meant to be solved. They are meant to inspire, to challenge, to remind us that the past is bigger than we imagine. And as long as the desert remains silent and the lines remain clear, the message of the Nazca will continue. A message written in the earth, preserved by time, waiting for us and for generations yet to come to look down from the sky and wonder.
Thank you for joining this journey. The mystery continues.